All right, quickly back to the Wisconsin game. Players of the game, offensively, we had no one. We're as poor as we played, not this year, but maybe in several years. So didn't handle the elements, didn't handle the road, didn't handle their defenses very good, and played very, very well. But we were off, didn't run it, and didn't connect in the passing game. Defensively, you know, we got worked and gave up some big plays, but thought we had some guys that merited being recognized. Clyde Newton, second game, he started as a true freshman, had 14 tackles. And then Ralph Green up front was the most productive he's been as a redshirt freshman. Those guys did pretty well. Matter of fact, the week before, probably Darius Latham probably played well. He didn't get a championship grade just for a couple mental errors as a young guy, still busting, but getting some good play out of the young guys there. So Clyde, 14 hits in the second start, 11, 2 weeks in a row, leading tackler in his first two starts. So some things to build on with him. We got to keep building a lot of other guys around him. Special teams, our kick units have been pretty good. You know, Eric Toth was recognized for special team player of the game. We had 2 punts inside the 20, 2 inside the 10. Handled the win pretty well. Thought he did a nice job. And Kenny Mullen on a couple of our teams really stuck out with coverage and effort. So that was our special team players. The young guys, Michael Cooper, the transfer from Arizona, and Ray Smith on offense. Defensive scouts were Nate Hoff, Garrett Liebertowski, and Tyler Brady. So that was our deal there. Again, tough game, didn't play well. Kicking was okay. But again, offense, way out of whack. Didn't handle the elements, the weather, the defense. They played very, very well, didn't run it. In the games that we've been on the wrong end of the ledger, our running game has been missing. And on the games that we've played very, very well, we've had some run game. And then the opposite, in our 4 victories, we've played some solid run defense. And the 6 games we've lost, our run defense has not shown up at all. So tough challenge this week with Ohio State, you know, who's very, very good in spread with skill, good line, basically a 2-back system. Not that Braxton Miller is a quarterback, but he's a tremendous runner and can beat you with his arm with some great guys. So a great challenge for our defense. And then defensively, again, a couple teams have given up some points, but just like us last year, we scored some points, but we score them late, and it's kind of catching up, and it kind of skews the score because they're up, 24 points going into the fourth quarter. So, you know, same thing last week. Illinois gets a couple points late and whatnot. So they're playing good. Great challenge, and again, we're coming off one of our poorest performances to date. Another announcement I'll make too, just for what it's worth. I think they came in with 2, 4, 6, 8 semifinalists for the Mackey Award, and Ted Bolger's been recognized as one of the 8 semifinalists for the Mackey Award. There's a good honor for Ted. He's doing well for us.
Kevin, how long do you think it's going to take to build a defense that you can win consistently with?
You know, the other day we're playing up there with, there's some times we had 5 true freshmen in the front 7. We actually, and you say that too, not just true freshmen, we had Marcus Oliver playing, instead of Mike, playing Sam backer. We lost Steven Funderburk on Thursday in practice, just running and playing it, and blew out a disc in his back. So he's a surgery disc. So we keep getting some little nicks, but what it is, it's an opportunity. And for, again, some of the young guys, so happened, Flo Harden got hurt, Clyde Newton stepped up. So I think the more those young guys, and that's a great question you're asking there now, Bob, the young guys, they're getting thrown into deep water. And I think our offense did that a couple of years ago and was very anemic. And with that, took some growing pains, but with that, their off-season development took off. So you'd like to think with Latham and Kenny, and they're playing those guys a lot more, and Big Ralph is a redshirt freshman, Nick Mangieri, Zach Shaw are second-year players as well. The 3 linebackers we're playing are freshmen. We just got to get the back end short up. You know, the loss of Antonio Allen, I think, hurts his development more than just our team, because he's a young guy, and I'm seeing some nice things out of Chase Dutra and Chris Smith. So I like a lot of our young guys. But we're going to look real hard in the offseason just with what we're doing from just our offseason lifting and running. And what can we do to, you know, and everyone always says you can develop offense quicker than defense. And you know, I'm an offensive coach, and, you know, I guess, but I don't know, I thought there's a couple positions on offense that are kind of hard to play. You know, you're playing a true freshman quarterback, we're playing a left tackle. Those are hard positions to play. And we played some true freshmen out there. So some of it's talent, but I think that some of it's outside of our recruiting. What are we doing to develop? Because even though we want the recruiting to continue to pick up, and I think it has, we're always going to have to develop our players. So I'm going to look real hard at just what we're doing in our lifting, running, change the direction? What are we doing in just our culture and our attitude of our building to play better defense? And then we'll look at personnel and schemes and coaching and all those kind of deals. But to me, where we're at, and to me, it's my problem. It's my fault because I am the head coach. And so we're sitting here playing these numbers year 3. I think it comes, I mean, I'm an offensive-oriented guy, and I got 5 coaches on defense. We trust them to do their job, and I'm part of the offensive staff, which a lot of guys are like that way. But when you're the head coach, you're in charge of everything, and we've got to make some strides. So I'm looking very hard, and I'm not talking practice organization. Just what are we doing from an attitude, cultural standpoint? Because with a bunch of young guys that we have, I think we're only playing 1 senior. It should get better, and it needs to get better, and it's my job to make sure it's got to get better.
Do you have any idea why historically, really you have to go back to Bill Mallory era, why historically Indiana has always seemed to have had such a hard time, whether it's recruiting to defense or just playing defense?
Well, I do think it is a little harder to find. There's not as many of those guys. And like, for example, we took 14 guys on defense last year, I think, or 15. The year before that, we took 13. I mean, the majority of our classes in recruiting have been defensive oriented the last couple of years. But I do think most coaches, if you're recruiting and you came down to A or B at the end of your class, and there's 3 spots left, and if it's a really good defensive player or a really good offensive player, unless it's a dynamic quarterback or tailback, you're probably always taking defensive guys. And the halves probably take a few more of those better players that you'd love to trickle to you. So I don't think there's many. I think the teams that play good historically get more and get better. And that's why I got to look at then our development. What are we doing offensively to complement it? Sometimes we talk about our no huddle and spread offense, what we do to complement it. I do think if you look at numbers, you can't compare numbers today defensively to 20 years ago because it's just a different game. So the numbers are going to be, points are going to be more, stats. So to go back and say, well, in 1993, the average was this. I mean, we were 3rd in the nation, averaging what we average right now in 2000 in Northwestern scoring offense. And we finished here 3rd. Now it gets you about 15th, 20th or something like that. So the numbers are skewed. But the game's getting played in space. And again, my deal is if they're hard to find, Bob, we'll keep recruiting them. We'll keep trying to emphasize it. But I also got to look at player development and program development because we've developed one side. And maybe that side's easier. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. And I know that's my, quote, background. But when you're the head guy, you're developing. Like our kicking's gotten better. That's not my background. We've made some strides kicking. And we got guys covering kicks. And that's a defensive play. And we're really good in kick coverage. We're not bad in punt coverage. So some things we've gotten better at, we've just got to keep making strides there. My deal's with 2 weeks to go, chance for bowl opportunity. With 2 weeks, our deal's always constant improvement. I just met with our leaders, seniors. I need their best 2 weeks because we need to finish these 2 weeks the best we can. Got to get a lot better on offense from a week ago. Got a great challenge this week, and we got to keep bringing every phase of our defense along.
With that bowl eligibility, you're out of time to pick up those last 2 wins. You need to win the last 2 games. Do you talk to them about that sense of urgency? Do you prepare any different just because these are must-win games for you?
Well, we got to prepare slightly different because the end of the year, just with fatigue and injury, but at the same time, when we rush the ball, we have a physical presence and play good run defense, we're better, so it's a double-edged sword. So we will do some things a little different because of wear and tear. There's certain things we've got to emphasize. We have talked. The common sense talks will say, well, Ohio State is undefeated, a tremendous team, and you don't have any chance, you're not a bowl team. But then the thought of that was, if you win this one, you got to win both. So nothing's for granted. Nothing is insured good or bad. My deal is let's have our best week, go play as hard as we can, as best we can, and see if we can get enough breaks and make enough plays to be competitive this week and see if they can get us on the right side. And then from there, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for the next week. And these guys, I got a lot of respect for how far some of these seniors and what they went through and where we're at. They're giving us a good go. My challenge is at the end, we're not going to get sloppy and go back to acting like we were. We're going to keep building because we have. And we're going to build these last 2 weeks. So a great challenge. The urgency is we got to keep getting better. More than we got to get this win to be a bowl team. We got to get Ohio State, a great team and an undefeated team. No, we got to keep getting better. And that's been the message last night and earlier today with them.
When you talked about defense,
which is our consistent message.
When you talked about defense, you mentioned coaching. I guess I don't imagine you're going to answer this, but is there a chance you're going to consider staff changes, including at the coordinator position?
Why would you ask a question you're not going to answer?
What's that?
Why would you ask a question you're not going to answer?
I'm just interested to see where you go with it.
To me, I think you evaluate everything. Like I evaluate, first of all, I start with me. So again, what am I? Because again, collectively, if there's a problem with the defense, there's a problem with me. If there's a problem with our recruiting, there's a problem with me. If there's a problem with our social behavior of our team, there's a problem with me. So I set the standard for it, and my deal is we have not created the standard we need there. And so when I'll start with myself, and then we'll look at staff. We're also going to keep looking at recruiting and player development. But the real deal is we're going to go through this week, keep getting one day better, having a good week, and go after Ohio State as hard as we can Saturday. Do the same thing the following week, and then we'll build from there. We'll see.
What are the chances that Tevin comes back?
Just saw him down there, and I mean he's still, I think, got enough soreness. It's going to be a stretch to get him back and get him going good enough to be full speed. I know he's working awfully hard. I know our medical staff's doing a whole lot with him, but I think it's a smidge of a stretch. We'll see. And then you have the opportunity for the last one as well. So I know he's working hard. He's had a pretty good year, and I know he wants to get back out there. But we need Steven had one critical error with the fumble the other day that really hurt us. D'Angelo came in and played okay. We need those guys to play strong for us.
Where were the errors with those fumbles? You know, was it center? Was it just slick ball? Was it miscommunication?
A little bit of both. Now two of the snaps, and then we got Wes there's a new center, and his snap has a little bit of velocity, and he just snapped it a little hard and a catchable, but maybe a little, quote, fastball, and our quarterbacks didn't handle it well. And then we just had an exchange issue where we're handing it off, and our tailback didn't get the handoff.
I know that, you know, you kind of had a long relationship with Coach Meyer. I mean, where do you see, you know, kind of similarities between the offense that he runs and the offense that you guys run?
Again, they're playing with the quarterback. You know, we have two different ones we're playing. Their guy always has a running threat where, you know, Nate's not as big a run threat for us as Trey. And I think Braxton is a tremendous runner for a quarterback. Now, a lot of guys, you said, you think a guy can't throw. I mean, his passing percentage, I think, is about 68%, which is a better passing percentage than us. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more option-oriented than we are because of the running threat at quarterback. But I think they've really evolved their passing game and taking shots down the field and some percentage plays to some really good players. So it's a very good offensive line. So to be a spread attack like I think most teams are, even though it's spread and it's no huddle, there's a physical presence, and I think that's the sign of most really good teams. And when we've had that on our team, we've been a good offense and we played better defense. When we haven't had our physical presence and played the run or ran the ball well, we struggle. And so the way they do it, they always got a good run threat, and then they're throwing out in space to some fast guys, and the guy that can deliver the mail pretty good. So it's good. It's a very good offense.
You talk about the offensive line being physical. What, in terms of your line, any updates on injuries and where you guys are personnel?
Jake Reed got just fell into on an inside period on Wednesday, and basically just kind of chipped the bone in his knee. So he's manageable to try to get back out, and I think he'll practice some this week. We'll see how he can go. We got to get Jacob Bailey. I was talking about it, came in, did a nice job for us. I think Colin Rohrig was dressing last week and was practice Thursday. We didn't think he was quite full tilt. I would anticipate him back in the mix this week. We'll see about Jake and Bailey, and then we got to get Jake Reed worked back in there. I think he's kind of back off his ankle full speed. Cody Evers came in and was actually our fourth right guard that we play. Actually fifth if you count Jake Reed, haven't played over there. But we need to get Jake Reed back in the mix. It'd be nice to have Colin back in the mix, although I think Wes has done okay. So again, a little nicked up there.
Got confused on the Jakes there. So
Jake Bailey
got
got a knee falling into his way. Didn't
Bailey
play.
got the Chevy, okay.
Yeah. And Jake, they got those backwards.
And
To me,
Reed still
Jake's.
got the- okay.
But he got and just run inside drill, guy fell on his knee, and it's not we don't think it's a surgical deal. He's got a loose body, he got a little bone chip or something. We'll see how that goes.
Kevin, you talked about Darius a little bit. What have you seen from him this year? Where does he need to be? Where does he need to go?
Well, you're playing, you're playing a different position. You know, out in high school, you played D-line, but a lot of times played on the edge. You know, a basketball skill kid. So you're kind of playing in there now. It's a little bit more combative in there in that tight box where you're getting double teamed both ways. You got, whether it be this guy coming this way, a guy on me, or a guy coming this way. So it's very combative. Takes a very mature person to play there. Instinctively, you kind of want to look up and see what's going on, and you can get on skates. and get out as a young player. He's learning how to play harder, learning how to play lower, learning how to play with his hands, learning how to trust the call and stay in his gap. And we had a couple busts the other day where, those guys once in a while, think there's something's going on. They should peek over here and get out of the gap, and there goes a running back because we don't cancel the gap out. So he's doing well the more he plays, and we said a few weeks ago that, we're struggling on defense, and one of the best things to do is just to play with those young guys and throw them out in the deep water and let them start trying to swim the best they can. And the more they do it, the more they're keeping their head above water. So we've had some issues with it, but I think with him and David Kinney and those young backers, the more we play with them, the more we play through some of the stuff we don't like, the better they're going to be and the better we're going to be.
You talked last week about it being an opportunity in the sense that even though like about every game's on TV now, that was an ESPN2 game. This is an ABC game, 3:30 ABC. 51-3 Saturday. Does that add a little element of urgency in terms of what you want to show people on national TV this Saturday?
Well, we talk about that, but the Big Ten games are national too now. You have a chance to be, although sometimes you can get the region based on how many they carry. So to me, that's a credit to the opponent too now, because sometimes it's who you're playing. But I do think, again, we've made some strides. We've talked to the guys in a positive way. Like, you come to the Big Ten, you want to play in big games, you want to get notoriety. You're getting some clips on ESPN, you're getting some plays of the week notoriety, whatever. You're gaining on it. This is why you're here. This is why you work. This is what you want, and you want this. So to me, it's a tremendous challenge and a great team, but I'm excited we have an opportunity to play this game on ABC and the ESPN2, the rest of the country. I guess it's ABC and our Big Ten region. It's good for our program because it's going to help us in recruiting. That being said, too, we need to go out and perform well and not go out and play like we did last Saturday. That's not what you need.
What was the team's mindset after its first blowout loss of the year? What was the mindset at practice? Did you like the energy of the team?
Well, we hadn't been doing a great deal, and we did a little bit more last night, not for punishment, but to get some energy and get some bounce back in our step and kind of flush the funk out of that performance and that trip. So we didn't go out and let's do a bunch of things like you played bad and here's your penance or punishment. But let's go back to it's Sunday of the Ohio State week, and let's have a little fun. Let's throw some balls around, get some good stances, and don't be overly combative. Let's get moving around and get some energy going. So we expressed that to the guys. I thought we had a pretty good go at it. I think each group was different in how they wanted to address the game. Did they want to go through and have things they needed to address, or do they want to move on and start talking Ohio State? You've played now 10 games, so cover 3 is cover 3. A hitch route's a hitch route. A zone play is a zone play. So do you want to sit there and rehash that play and be negative if it's not right? Some things need to be corrected and should be corrected. Sometimes maybe it needs to be flushed and move on. So I think every position was a little different. Each side of the ball was a little different on how each coach wanted to manage his guys. But I thought the practice was okay.
You mentioned that the offense struggled with the elements. Obviously, any passing offense is going to struggle probably with wind and rain. But I mean, is that something that can be overcome with?
I don't know.
Scheme or
the week before it's pretty windy out here in Illinois, and then you go to Wisconsin or Michigan, and it was sleeting or hailing there in the warm-ups. It was rainy, and we're playing Penn State out here, and I mean, so we practice. We went out there a couple times in practice, like, hey, offense, go outside, into it. Now, if it's a really bad day, we're gonna have a miserable practice. We don't want to practice in slop. But sometimes, like, we will practice throwing into the wind. We'll practice because at golfer, you want to hit your balls right, Don, into the wind, so it maximizes you. So you want to stress yourself out in practice. And I was really kind of surprised we didn't play as cleanly, even though that was a little tough. And there were certain parts of the games that were a little tougher. But at the same time, I think the real tough thing is Wisconsin played really, really good. They're good. I mean, they're top 10, 12, 14 in most defensive stats. It's a good scheme. They executed. They got off blocks. We didn't stay on. We were a little bit off. We just didn't respond well. The weather's a part of it. But I think moving forward, like I told the offense beforehand, Texas Tech is where a lot of our passing comes through. And they would take a 20-mile-an-hour wind every day in Lubbock and think it was bombing. So, you learn how to practice in it, play in it. And when you're going to play in the Big Ten, some teams in the past, Northwestern's been pretty good in spreading up. Purdue, Drew Brees was pretty good in the plains up here. So, I think you can throw the ball well. And I'm not going to use that as a I'm just surprised that we didn't handle it better. Disappointed. Because we've been in that situation, we played some pretty good teams, and that's why after the game, I also said you got to give credit to Wisconsin, because that wasn't a weather game. They kicked their tail. And this week, it'll be the opponent more than the else. We're both playing on the same field, and we got to handle it. So to me, that'd be a cop-out, saying like, well, we've handled it in games. We've handled the week before okay in a pretty windy day. Wasn't the rain. We've been in rain. We handle it in practice. And I just think we're just better than that. Our opponent had a lot to do with that. But our guys, we missed some shots. And we missed some plays, and we got to make those.
Was there anything else that stood out to you as to why when you watched film, or were they just off like you?
Just off. Just a little. There's a couple snaps, and their fastball was wet, but they're there to catch the ball. But like, hey, you want to get it and get it out quick, and start wanting to look at coverage before you catch it. Or, timing of some throws, and we had a couple. The first pick, he's throwing a wet ball into the wind. It's actually open for a touchdown if you can throw the proper throw. And because we beat him on post, we actually had it 2 plays earlier. We had 2 open posts for a touchdown the first drive, and we're over. And yeah, we're going into the wind. But the thing we did the week before, we thought going into the wind, we didn't go down the field enough. We thought Illinois was sitting on us. So we said, listen, we're going to take some shots into it. And that one just held up on Nate. And that happens once in a while.
On fourth down this year, your team is 43%, I believe. It seems like the movement in college and pro football is to be more aggressive on fourth down. How much beforehand are you saying, like, okay, it's 4th and 3 from the 40-yard line, we're definitely going for this?
I say it the whole game. You can ask Coach Latrell, tell him when it's 1st and 10, you're in 4-down territory. Now I trumpet, like we were in 4-down territory, and we were in 4-down territory on the 1-yard line. And we jumped offside, and it was 3rd and 6 on the 6, and we didn't get it, and hadn't done much, we kicked the field goal. That was going to be a 4-down call from the 1. It was a manageable 4-down, and we were down points. We were 4-down territory in the 4th quarter, and Trey took a loss of 5. Like, okay, now punt it. It's 4th and 12. But Seth knows on 1st and 10. I'm telling Doug, I'm thinking like them, they're in 4-down territory right now. 1st and 10, I'm like, they're in 4 down. He's calling 4 downs right now, I guarantee it. I'm not him, but that's how my mind's wired. So we know going through the game when to go for it. You got to be smart with that. Sometimes, again, we're not getting some defensive stops, and offensively, that 40-something% ought to be higher. Our offense is better than that, and it's a little bit lower than you want. Of course, a couple of those, I think one is at the end of the game. Some of the stats are skewed. We're taking a knee on 4th down one game at the end, so there's a couple of times that's a little out of whack. But you got it. I'm communicating that all the way through. During the game, because to me, like I didn't like it as a play caller when it was 3rd and 8, and I did a stressful protection, and we had to block a bunch of twists and blitz, and we threw a dig route, and then you didn't get it, and the coach said, well, now go for it on 4th. I go, golly, I might have thrown a slant pass or a screen and a run, and because I know you got 4th down in your back pocket. So we're always, I'm not calling the other team's plays, but I'm talking with the defense, saying, in my opinion, based on win, based on his field goal kicker, you're in 4-down territory right now. And I'm not them, but I'm thinking like them. And I know for Seth, I'm saying right away, hey, when it's 1st and 10, you got 4 downs, because that changes your 1st down, your 2nd down, and your 3rd down call. Now, if we get a holding penalty or something negative happens, then we adjust. And that's how we do that. And I do think, and again, there's merit, not just with our team, but the way the game's going. It's all calculated gambles. You make the play, it's a good call. You miss it, it's a bad one. We lose the Illinois game if Trey don't make a 4th and 1, and he makes the play on his own. We might lose that game. And then everybody say, well, how could he go for it there? I felt our defense hadn't stopped them. Our offense needed to make the play. And you make the play, no one talks about the call. You miss it, everybody says, well, how can you be so? But we needed to make that play then. It went our way. We got momentum, we scored, we ended up winning. Now, is that why we won the game? No, but that was a nice part of momentum. And so I do think the point that you're saying, as an offensive coach, if I'm going for it on 4th down, they know for it well before 4th down. And then we trump out of it, like right before half. What's the situation for half? We don't want to put the punt team out there. So sometimes we're being aggressive, but you're picking your spots. And the way our team is, we got to be aggressive, but we also, if we hang our defense out to dry, that can hurt us real bad. So we know we're picking our spots.
With being an offensive guy, you brought up the delay. Is it just a matter you're trying to get that perfect play, you're trying to think of that, and you kind of lose track of the?
Well, we on that instance, we ran a play twice. We went into a no play call. We'd substitute a quarterback, so when we substitute quarterbacks, they stand over the ball. So you lose 10, 12 seconds, boom. Matter of fact, it's interesting that on substitution, when you substitute, the referee's supposed to stand over the ball, right? Anybody see the end of that Northwestern Michigan game when the field goal team ran on the field? And no one caught that one. Just, and that was an amazing play too now. It was an amazing play. But when you substitute, we're on the one, they stand the ball, you lose it. Well, then we do a no play call to see what they're in. Well, then it's loud. So he's telling everybody to play individually, and time just ran out. And I thought he was going to get it off, and I think he looked up and didn't see, because there was time, because I almost ran down at about 5, and he was telling this guy, if he comes back and goes boom, we can get it off. He lost track of time, and we just lose it by a second.
Is that just a matter you having to try to judge of when to step in on that and
Correct.
and just do that?
And I thought looking at it live, he could have got it off. I think Trey just lost track of it, and it was a second. But it's also dynamics of a substitution, a no play call, and then it's loud. He's telling 6 guys, it's this play, it's this play, it's this play, because he's going down the line, and he just lost track. And I'm looking at it saying, he's got it. He came back and didn't see the clock, and he wasted a second. Okay, where is it? And we got burned. And so, all right, guys, appreciate it.